To officially begin the event for today, I would like to introduce Deputy Mayor, Councillor Josie Maddock, who is with us today to represent the Lord Mayor. Jodie has been a district councillor for the past 4 years, and she's also the district mental health champion within Albans. She's lived and she's been born and bred, actually. She's very much a St. Albans citizen, I think. And it gives me great pleasure to invite her to be our chief guest today to launch the book, and also to call upon her to deliver the talk When All Ages Together on behalf of the Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Please excuse me for reading notes off my phone. I'd rather do that than print it out on paper. Thank you for having me here in place of Mayor Anthony Rowlands, who was unable to join today because he has an important family commitment that he couldn't miss. But I'm really pleased to be here, so thank you for the invitation. We're here obviously to celebrate the launch of this wonderful book, which unravels the historical events of Ceylon and Beyond. This book represents more than just words on a page. It embodies a crucial theme, not only for Thomas, but also for us and the mayoral team this year, which is about bringing everybody together, young and old, and which, like I said, mirrors the mayoral theme, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a moment. But importantly, what I really wanted to sort of get across is that our history really is a living narrative that shapes our current identity and our futures. And it's our collective responsibility to pass that knowledge and those experiences on to the younger generation, even sometimes if they don't want to hear it. I mean, my kids are 14 and 15, and they're not always the most receptive to historical messaging, but actually, if it's done in an engaging way, it can really get through to them. And Ceylon's history is just one brilliant example of a treasure trove of stories that can inspire and educate young minds. Bringing these stories to life by sharing our history with the young in schools, in universities, in our own families, we spark a flame of curiosity for learning. And hopefully, they will then be charged to discover more themselves about the topics that interest them most throughout their lives. It's about building bridges between generations, between cultures, between communities, and breaking down the walls. Our seniors hold wisdom, but our youth bring energy and willingness for progress. So the mayoral theme this year is called All Ages Together, which is not dissimilar to what I've just talked about. It brings the young and the older together in society to benefit from mutual learning, inspiration, and like I said before, to build bridges and break down the walls which would result in loneliness and exclusion from society. It's our wish this year that countless organisations and community groups will encourage multiple ages to gel together as communities and to find ways to weave their stories and experiences into each other's lives. And for these foundations to become a really firm legacy here in St. Albans. So let's bring tangible and exciting stories of history into our schools, share them amongst our families, and create endless intergenerational connections. Together, we will ensure that the torch of knowledge passes seamlessly from one hand to the next. And may this book and its launch be simply one of the many small ways in which we can encourage this cross-generational way forward and mark the beginning of a lasting legacy of intergenerational knowledge sharing for us all. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to seeing the book and exploring it in more detail and to hearing all of the lively discussion and questions that no doubt will happen. So thank you once again for having me.
Thanks very much, Deputy Mayor. I would now like to invite Dr. Thomas Chandran to offer the complimentary copy of the book entitled The Events That Made History in Ceylon and Beyond, to the mayor and the lieutenant.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Morris.
Thank you. It now gives me great pleasure for me to introduce the author, as you all know, Dr. Thomas Jayendran, and give you a little bit of history behind his story. As most of you would know, Dr. Thomas was a senior lecturer in the university sector, managing various postgraduate programs. And for some of you who have been his clients, you will know that he's also managed your businesses for you, like an MOT for a car, giving both the fear factor and the validation to move the business forward. However, his passion lies somewhere else. As a student in the 1970s, Dr. Thomas has been part of the undergraduate students who used to cook and distribute hot food to the homeless in London during the Christmas period, and also has organized Christmas parties for children who were less privileged in St. Albans in 1979. In 1996, he co-founded the charitable organization called Optima Foundation with his godmother, Miss Bali Bushwich, and in the last 27 years, the Optima Foundation has served vulnerable children in countries such as Bosnia, Isle of Man, Sri Lanka, Romania, Ukraine, and the United Kingdom. He is currently still active, working as the managing trustee of this Optima Foundation. Of course, being a very active young man, after retirement, he is still with us, writing, sharing his knowledge through the publishing company of Optima Publishing Limited. So his first book that went out was entitled Let's Go on a Journey, which was aimed at young adults leaving their homes to start their lives independently at college or university, or for those who were taking up their first paid jobs. His second book, entitled Grandma's 100 Management Paradigms, that capsulated wisdom brought forward from previous generations. And now, with his third book, we are launching today, we are looking at how the trade routes have emerged within the three continents of Africa, Asia, and Europe. It goes on to describe the role of Ceylon in the maritime battles around the Indian Ocean and celebrates the story of HMS Trincomalee, now the Naval Museum of the Royal Navy in Hartlepool. It gives me great pleasure to call upon Dr. Thomas Jayendran to reflect on his journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Very First of all, I thank everybody because it's nice to see everybody coming together. And I could admit, even at the last minute, I had my trepidation whether anybody will return. But I'm glad to say that you're all here. So thank you so much for coming. And thank you, our Deputy Mayor Josie Maddock, for stepping in and voting in and supporting us as well. So thank you so much for everybody. Now, before I start to look at my own reflections, I also suffer from what Hilary Mantel, the Booker Prize winner, late Hilary Mantel, said in one of her interviews. All authors go through their imposter syndrome. The imposter syndrome means, am I competent to do this? This type of fear factor is there for many authors. So I went through that period at the beginning to see, should I write about this book? Because I'm not a historian. I didn't come from that type of background. My school days, I was doing the science stream, as we used to call those days, the science stream. So it was hard for me to then take on this challenge. And then I thought, yes, why not? So I thought I'll do it. And here I could admit I started with, as late Donald Rumsfeld said, so many unknown unknowns. I don't know whether you can remember that one of the statements. So there are so many unknowns I had to work with. And there are so much of information which were lost, not only in this country, but in other countries too. And one of the triggers which I had at the time was, I was so weakened in my thoughts, if I can put it that way, that is, in Trincomalee, the place where this book is centering, a lot of information had been lost during the Civil War times. A lot of people can't remember, they don't know. So that was a trigger for me to then start and say, let me go and look at it. So on that basis, I took on this journey. And I had to find a lot of out-of-print books, so much of information all over the world, to get this to this level. And here I got to be thankful to the Naval Museum for the Royal Navy in Hartlepool, and their entire outfit. They supported me tremendously to make sure that I get this book out of the way, as well as they gave me all the encouragement as well. And to thank them, 2 weeks ago I was in Hartlepool, inside the HMS Trincomalee, talking to all the colleagues there to make sure that I've done my part in terms of writing the book. So on that basis, I could admit I felt I've done my part. But at the same time, I'm also aware and mindful about one of the things which I normally say. People write books for various reasons. Some want to share the information and the knowledge. Some have their personal passion, the dream. And some do it for personal or self-glorification. Certainly I didn't do this for self-glorification, because it is really hard work. When you are researching, it is really hard work to get information. And there were many days I was working long hours, especially during the lockdown days, and it triggered a health issue for me as well, because it triggered both the varicose veins and the deep vein thrombosis. So most of last year I was busy trying to deal with that issue as well. All because I was sitting and doing a lot of online research to get this book out of the way. So on that basis, when I look back, yes, all the hard work, all the pain I have gone through, that come out in the end as a book. And when I talk about this book as if it's a new item, but it's not a new item. In my life, it started almost 60 years ago. When I was very young, that will tell everybody my age as well. When I was very young, as a young schoolboy, I went to a place called Trincomalee. And I saw this burnt out ship, which was used as the training ship for cadets. And I talked to a few people at the time who were basically winding up their work in Ceylon and returning back to England. So I got some information from them. So that's where it started. Then, of course, when I came to the UK to do my studies, I had to move on in my life. I was fortunate enough to work with a colleague, Dad George Lee, and one of our colleagues here will know his name extremely well. George and I used to sit and talk a lot about the good old days and what was happening. So he also triggered a lot of interest in terms of me going and doing the research as well. And the main part for him was, we all worked hard in the wartime. And his worry was, will somebody remember in 100 years' time? Will they remember? Will they know about what we went through? So that was also a trigger for me to think about writing this book. The other part came from, it was about like a family scenario. My mentor, my godmother, her sister, Maureen, But she was in the war office in Kandy in Ceylon during the wartime. And her husband, Monty, was the secretary for Earl Mountbatten. So they were all working on this war efforts. So they brought a lot of thoughts into that. What was the main reason why these people prevented fight? Fighting is not an easy thing. But in today's terms, it's not easy. Why did they go? Why did they end up volunteering to go and kill themselves? And those are the things which made me to think, yes, we could write about the history as well. So for that reason, I didn't stop. I carried on and I tried to finish. And when I started, because I'm not from the historical background, I'm not a historian, I tried to use the management thinking into this one and say, what is that people will start to understand and read and get interested in. And in that one, in the management jargon they used to call PRET, P-R-E-T, the P stands for people. So here I want to look at why the people went in and did all what they did for the last 500 years. So what was their main motives? And why did they do it? It wasn't an easy thing to do, but they all did that. So I want to look at those issues. The second part was R for roles. What are the roles they played? Are they just friendly? Or did they have any ulterior motives? Did they enter into power play? And so on. So those type of things started to build into my thinking. And the third part is the events. All the events happened in the last 500 years. Both good and bad. They gave me this impetus to go and dig into more and more to look at the history and why we did that. So that's what it triggered me. And the fun part for me is the tangible objects. Have got something tangible for us to go back and say, yes, this is the case. And that is where HMS Trincomalee comes in. It's the oldest sailing ship. It was built with a teak rather than hook, and it stays sailable. And it stays in Hartlepool as a museum. So that is a reminder for us to say, yes, it's not somebody's story, because nowadays you don't know which is true and which is not true. And these are all true cases. So that's what it made me to think about, yes, that we put all those into this book and hoping that that will give interest to everybody. And I want to then finally finish off with some other thoughts. That is, when we do the historical data, when we work on the historical data, we also vulnerable in terms of the data that is given to us on what basis, who gave us and on what basis. So we tend to filter it out. So what I've said today in this book might not be true in future time, on a future date, because it can change. So I'm making everybody aware that this is not absolute. It can change in the future as well. And finally, I want to finish off this one with a little statement. Many years ago, that was in the early 80s, my dead mother decided to leave England and go back to Sri Lanka. And so we were with our friends and the family friends, and they asked my mother, what is it you want your son to be? What is it you want Tom to be? So my mother looked at the scene for a little while, thought about it, and she said, I want him to do his duty for his two mothers. And everybody was surprised. And I thought probably her English wasn't right, that's why she was saying this. So I was a bit concerned because I don't know if I explained that to my friends, probably because my English friends couldn't understand that. So I said, it maybe she didn't understand your question. She said, no. She said, Tom, you've got two mothers. One is your birth mother at Sri Lanka, called Ceylon. You add up his mother, that's written, you take, do your duty. So that's the way I want to finish to say, I hope with this book, I've done my duty. Thank you very much.
Valued invited guests and ladies and gentlemen. I feel honoured and privileged to get the opportunity to propose the voice of thanks on this special occasion. And my name is Sri Lanka. And first and foremost, our thanks going to the Honourable Deputy Mayor Josie Edgar for her attendance and very for thank you. And secondly, I would like to thank the chairperson, Helen Leon, for leading this event in a professional yet friendly way. Thank you. We are grateful for all the enriching We are grateful for all for enriching this book launch event organised by Optima Publishing Limited to promote their new book titled The Events That Made History in Ceylon and Beyond. As the author, Dr. Thomas Gendrew has already indicated that people, roles, events, and the tangible objects have enriched us with the understanding of the history of the United Kingdom, Ceylon, and Sri Lanka, and the old world nations. Here I am using this opportunity to thank all those who have contributed and supported our author's journey. I also need to emphasize the support offered by the Naval Museum of the Royal Navy, Hartlepool. No event can be a success without the foot soldiers behind the scenes. So I wish to take this opportunity to thank the printers of this book, reviewers, caterers, video and photographic support, and most importantly, those who helped to organize the venue and the hospitality arrangements today. It has been a real pleasure meeting you all. And on behalf of Optima Publishing, let me thank you all from the bottom of my heart in making this event both informative and a success. Thank you, and thank you.
It's just now down to me to thank you all for coming and also to let you know that the books will be available for purchase if you're interested. We'll be setting it up over there later today. And also, Dr. Thomas and Optima Publishing has organized afternoon tea for all of you so that we can mingle and talk and get to know each other, because I think it's a great opportunity to share the history of Ceylon as well as all the other history that you have in this room, because I can see that we have such a diverse ethnicity group, gender, and I'm sure lots of stories that we could tell each other.
Tea and sandwiches.
Tea and, well, not just tea and sandwiches, there is also some very traditional food available, so don't go away. I am now officially closing the event, and let us mingle now and get to know each other. Thank you very much. Thank you for that.